Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is the biggest No Holds Barred Productions podcast in history. This is the WrestleMania 30 official preview show from the Last Fan Standing podcast. And as we've been advertising everywhere all week, we got a full house this week. We have brought in the rest of the founding fathers of Twin City Wrestling, Smart Mark Alley, and we are going to be going through this monumental card, which, as we've said before, likely is probably the biggest and most important wrestling event certainly in WWE history. So we're going to be going through WrestleMania 30, and once again, we have got the founding fathers of Twin City Wrestling, Smart Mark Alley. We're going to let each person introduce themselves individually with just a quick little blurb before we get into things. We're going to start with Honest Rod, a former podcast guest of himself.
Hey guys, Honest Rod, just here to put a little 2 cents in there.
Right on, right on. Who's next? Who is that?
Justin Carver. I'm glad to be here.
Justin, this is Justin's first time on the show, by the way.
He just popped his cherry.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm Cody Nodding, making my return.
Yes.
And everybody knows who I am.
Who are you?
If nobody knows who I am Nick.
He's the guy that talks 3 to 4 times every podcast.
3 or 4 times. Tries to get a word in over Justin's rambling.
Doesn't usually happen.
It doesn't really happen.
Every now and then it will happen. So it's not too bad. You're getting better at it, sir. Yeah. All right, so WrestleMania 30.
WrestleMania 30.
It's coming up in we're what, 8 days, 7 days, 8 days. Well,
close
yeah,
now.
it's getting pretty close, and the card has changed substantially in the last 3 weeks to a month. It's gone from, again, the last time we recorded this show, I think we very openly talked about, like, on paper, this could be the worst show of all time.
Yeah.
It was soon time to hit the panic button.
Oh my God. Like, this was shaping up to have, I would argue, probably the worst main event in the history of WrestleMania, because it's 2 dudes that nobody wanted to see wrestle.
I don't give a shit to see that match.
No, exactly.
There was nothing there to interest me.
But now, at the very least, they've not only added to that match, they've added a plethora of other interesting matches. So the card looks a lot better now than it did a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, God, absolutely. I mean, if it shaped up to be anywhere near what WrestleMania was, or not WrestleMania, fucking Royal Rumble.
Rumble, there you go. Rumble, there you go. We're on track. Yeah,
we're somewhere.
Because because a lot of people were pissed off about the Royal Rumble, and understandably so. Like you had an opportunity, and not to keep harping on the Royal Rumble, but we'll just toss this one thing. You had an opportunity in there with Roman Reigns. Like you had an opportunity there to make your next superstar for the next 5 to 10 years in that 1 second. And you had a guy in the ring that had enough seniority to say, look, I'm going to call an audible here, and, like, I'll get my shit in, but, like, this is the way to go. And they didn't do it, and it's fine. It ended up fine, but for a while there, it didn't look like it was going to end up fine. It looked like it was going to be fucking awful. Now, before we get into your actual match card here, we got a little bit of preamble. There's a little bit of stuff are in and around WrestleMania to kind of talk about. I posed this question to you guys on Facebook a couple of days ago, and I hope you might have had a little bit of an opportunity to think about it. One sentence I know, exactly. See, I'm a teacher. Like I gotta do this.
Professor Robar.
Professor Robar, exactly. One sentence or a couple of words or whatever from each of you on the current state of the WWE product.
Hopeful for the future.
Okay, right on.
If I see some more working with the Shield, some more moving in the right direction there. Mm-hmm. And maybe trying not to kill so many careers of the smaller, the younger guys that are just coming up through. Damian Sandow slipped through the cracks, and Dolph Ziggler. Every once in a while you get to see him. When Dolph Ziggler comes out, the crowd pops.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's because people know that he's a hard worker. He obviously looks after his diet and things like that, right? So he's really dedicated to what he does, and then the powers that be just kind of bury him like they do all the rest of their young talent, so they can get guys like Brock Lesnar out and the Animal Batista and stuff,
Yeah.
who they think is going to bring the revenue. So
it's that whole concept behind like, what do we care more about? Do we care about the number of eyes that are on the product, or do we care about the quality of the product itself?
I'm hopeful for the future because I think that they're going to start to see the error in their ways, and maybe they have, and that's why WrestleMania is starting to shape up a little different.
Right.
Maybe they realize that, when they had just a straight Batista versus Randy Orton match, that all of a sudden the ratings went in the shitter, so maybe they're going to try and flip it around a little bit.
That's true, especially now during a time when they're not like rivaled one-on-one with Monday Night Football. Because Monday Night Football always tends to crush them in the ratings, right? Because it's Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But like when it's not the football season, that's when you gotta.
This is your time to shine.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. What about you, Justin?
Definitely interested to see where it's going to go. The tag team division, I'd like to see that get a little bit more work done to it. It's getting kind of messy.
Right.
There was at one time it was looking hopeful. Triple H got a hold of it, started getting a little better.
Yeah.
But then it started getting messy. So I'd like to see it, with like the Real Americans, when they do their We the People, they get a loud
They
pop,
do,
right?
yeah.
Absolutely.
They're supposed to be heels, so I do like with the Usos being champion, but I'm very interested to see where it's going to go.
Right on.
And just hope it takes off.
Yeah. The tag team division was kind of interesting. Of course, we'll get to talk about that with the tag title match that's on the card. It did kind of look like it was really percolating up there for a little while, and now it feels like they can't have a tag team without like, okay, here's this tag team, but then a couple weeks later it's like, we're going to start planting the seeds for these people to break up. We're not going to do it, but we're going to give ourselves the option kind of thing almost, and it can get kind of frustrating where it's just like, is this team going to stay together, or are they going to break them up? Are they going to stay together, break them up? What the hell is going on? Yeah. But then they turn around the next week and put them in title matches, and it's like, well, what the fuck's going on? Like, it's like, it does feel kind of, but yeah, the tag team division's always been something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and so yeah, fingers crossed that kind of gets back up to the level where it could get. Cody, what about you?
Way I'd put it. I think there's potential, and especially with the future. I've been very critical of WWE for probably the past 5 years.
Right.
I think it's the companies, they have their great moments, and then they have their really bad moments.
Right.
I like to say that the company's really loose. They need to tighten up.
Yeah, everybody likes tight. Yeah.
There's a lot of like. One of the problems I see with the.
I'm sorry, I chuckled a little at the loose line. There's just terrible. Anyway, I'm sorry, Cody. Go ahead.
I just feel that like one of the biggest problems they have right now is there's gimmicks going on that don't need to be there.
Okay.
I think
Fandango.
Fandango. I think that the Santino, the Great Khali, Hornswoggle.
Yeah.
For me, if I was running the WWE, there's no room for that.
Right.
I think they need to tighten up the product, make it a little more serious.
Focus on the guys that are working really hard, not the guys that are out there being gray ass, right?
Yeah.
Dancing and shit.
Santino once in a while because he's funny.
He
gives you a chuckle. He's good at what he does, but he's also good at in ring work.
Santino definitely has his moments.
Put him on SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know what? Put him on fucking SmackDown.
Put him on SmackDown.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The top guys are on SmackDown too.
They shouldn't be though. The top guys shouldn't be on SmackDown. They should be running it like it's two different ships. Have all of your main card on Raw, and every once in a while take one or two of your champions or whatever and on SmackDown.
One more thing I want to say is that I think their the roster they have right now has a lot of potential. Like maybe one of the best rosters they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
And like. They can really go places with it. They just got to make the right decisions.
Absolutely. Fair enough. What about you, sir?
Mr. Stevenson.
Mr. Stevenson.
I would say is slowly winning me back.
Okay. Yeah, because you were especially
like a lost lover.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because especially after the Royal Rumble, you were a lot more disheartened over the Royal Rumble than I was. I wasn't a fan of it. It was like the Royal Rumble hurt your feelings.
It did.
Yeah.
It really did. And I wasn't on the best terms with them to begin with.
Right. Fair enough.
Like ever since after the Attitude Era when they went this PC PG PC.
Sorry.
when they went liberal on it.
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. Progressive, conservative, president's choice, personal computer, whatever we want to call it, really.
And
Piece of crap.
a piece of crap, yeah, basically.
Nice.
I don't know. They're slowly, and I don't want to say that, people leaving has turned around anything because they had to change shit around in order to make it interesting.
Right. Fair enough.
But it's a step in the right direction.
Fair enough. So it's almost kind of a consensus, and I would say much the same. So it's kind of a consensus that there's like the hopefulness, like it's like we feel like it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like I can compare the product that we have right now to the product that we were getting in 2008, and this is a significantly better product, and I feel like it's been a significantly better product for a couple of years. Aside from a few blips in the road, like there's been some down periods, like this period that we've had since the Royal Rumble. It has felt like a real valley. You know what I mean? Like it's felt like it hasn't been a great period. But with wrestling, it's so interesting with wrestling because like, was this the plan all along? Wrestling has this beautiful way of totally misleading its audience, right? Like you have this way with pro wrestling that like, and maybe it's just like super convenient for them. Like at the end of it, we could be like, oh yeah, it was a work all along, when really it wasn't. It's like we thought we had a good product out there and it fucking sucked. But oh no, don't worry, it was just a swerve all along. So maybe it's convenient in that way, but like wrestling just has this great way of swerving its audience. What doesn't have a great way of swerving its audience is Scooby Doo's WrestleMania Mystery. And we have two people sitting at this table today who have voluntarily watched, well, one voluntarily, one because he has kids, watched Scooby Doo's fucking WrestleMania Mystery. So we want to get a very brief movie review of Scooby Doo's WrestleMania Mystery from Cody and from Justin. So I guess we'll start with Justin.
Well, the movie was all over its place. I'm the one that has the kids. I don't know what his issue is. Watching it, but it wasn't horrible, but it was just all over the place. Didn't really make sense and was just, well, it was retarded.
What? Fair enough. What were the superstars that were actually in it? Because like I haven't, well, the voices obviously, but like Cena was in it, Sin Cara was in it,
The Miz.
Why
Sin Cara and
AJ Lee and Kane.
AJ Lee and Kane.
Santino,
right?
Brodus
Clay. That's right.
And then they talk it up by saying all the top WWE superstars. Really? Wow.
You have the one diva worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Cena. Yeah. Triple H.
Triple H.
Yeah.
And
Mr. McMahon.
Yeah,
Mr. McMahon, of course.
And
But
Scooby
like,
fucking Doo.
you know the only
Shaggy's a big part. He's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason that Sin Cara and Brodus Clay are there. Well, first of all, last I saw, they were turning Brodus heel, so I don't really know why he was in the movie.
He just kind of disappeared. You don't really see him much anymore.
Right now, exactly. But then, like Sin Cara basically, because like he's the masked wrestler, so it's like it's the kids. There's the kids sort of angle there. So okay, so Justin's review boils down to retarded. Cody, what about yours?
Okay, first of all, I like Scooby Doo, like the old Scooby Doo from like the.
I got nothing against Scooby Doo. Some of it's funny as shit. It really is.
So I decided to sit down and watch it, and it's so bizarre. It's weird, and one of the biggest problems is that it just doesn't really feel like Scooby Doo.
Okay.
It's just like a WWE advertisement. Okay, here's the point. I got something you didn't point out.
Shoot.
There's more WWE talent in the movie that don't have speaking roles. Jerry the King Lawler.
Okay.
Michael. Okay. Here's the thing that's really weird. Michael Cole is the commentator.
You are getting so excited.
He's sweating a little bit.
I just want to get this out of the
All
way.
right, right on.
He slightly moved his crotch under the table.
Jeez. Wow.
Oh, shit's
Take out
going
the
down.
microphone.
Yeah.
Shit's going down.
But, no,
Jeez.
okay. Michael Cole is the announcer for all the matches.
Mhm.
Jerry Lawler is in the movie. He makes like 2 appearances, but he never speaks. He's just like in the background. And then like Jimmy Hart's in it, and Sergeant Slaughter is like the trainer for the city. Yeah, it's like WWE has its own city. They have like Mr. McMahon's Waffle Shack.
Oh my God.
And I can't even explain the plot to you because it's so convoluted.
Triple H's shovel store. Perfect for burying your opponents.
Yeah, it's okay. If you if you have children, it might be worth watching. But if like me, you watched it by yourself.
Justin shaking his head. No, it wasn't.
It was geared towards children.
Yeah.
It was not made for like us hardcore fans. That's just really the way to finalize it.
Makes sense. Rodney, by the way, Rodney's wife and son dutifully, faithfully listening to the podcast on our Ustream. Your son says, "Hello, Daddy-O."
Hey, kiddo.
Don't repeat most of these words.
Yeah. Shit's going to get weird, so. I'll explain it to you when I get home.
Exactly.
Stay
Your
up.
discretion
And, you know.
advised.
Just like last time.
Yeah.
All right, so fair enough. Now that we got Scooby Doo's WrestleMania Mystery out of the way, which, by the way, that dog on Raw was like the worst costume I've ever seen in my life, because they actually had a dude in a Scooby outfit.
Yeah.
Who did he come out with? He come out with Ziggler?
Sin
Cara. Yeah, came out with Sin Cara.
The best
oh
part
my
about
God.
that whole segment was the Mystery Machine.
Yeah.
But
The
here's-
Mystery Machine looked better than anything.
Here's to go back to one of my points to what we were saying before we were on the air.
Mhm.
He beat Damian Sandow without Damian Sandow getting 3 moves in.
Right.
Is he not, former Money in the Bank holder? Is he not former all of these good things?
Yeah.
And now that jackass Sin Cara comes out and he beats him, just like
Right.
that, and makes him look like a fool. I mean, way to bury this guy's career.
It's true. And now
He came out with Scooby Doo. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
at the very least, they've got somebody now playing the Sin Cara character who doesn't screw 3/4 of the things that he tries to do up.
Isn't it Hunico?
Yeah.
Hunico, yeah.
Hunico, yeah, absolutely.
He's getting a good paycheck out of it.
Yeah,
Hey,
and Sin Cara is actually the original Sin Cara is suing. That's what I heard.
Oh, really?
He's suing because it was his character when he got signed to the WWE.
Right.
He wanted to take it with him, but you see, when he signed to the WWE, well, they're like, "Hey, we kept it, and we made you famous here in America, so we're going to keep it."
Well, this is the thing. He was Mystico down in Mexico. Why would you want to take Sin Cara back to Mexico when you were Mystico?
Yeah.
Like you were.
So he wasn't Sin Cara in Mexico.
No,
Okay,
he was.
Well, then
he
why
was,
would he want to take it back?
He was Mystico. He was literally the top guy or among the top guys in AAA. So why would you want to take the Sin Cara character when you're already Mystico?
Yeah.
Why would you
he
want
wanted
to take
go
that?
back? And he wanted to use Mystico, but they wouldn't let him, and they didn't
Oh, okay.
want him. He's just trying to make his
So
2
now-
cents off WWE, right?
Yeah, fair enough. So,
I gotta bring up an interesting point.
shoot.
They brought back the trampoline. He did the trampoline jump
Yes,
over the rope.
yes, they did bring back the
That's 'cause-
trampoline.
That's because Scooby was there, man.
Yeah,
That's 'cause
exactly. See now, I wanted to see Scooby hit the trampoline and do the jump
Gotta
over
give him a
into the.
Scooby snack first.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a Scooby
Yeah.
snack first.
Smoke rolls out of the van. Hey, man.
Jesus. And Aiden, Daddy will explain that one too. All right, so now can we successfully move away from Scooby Doo?
Dear God, please.
One whole hour podcast on Scooby Doo's WrestleMania Mystery. Let's talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame before we get going here. These are the names that have been confirmed, and we have to assume there's probably not going to be anybody else because they usually hit like 6 or 7 per year, unless they put in a stable. The names we got right now is we've got Ultimate Warrior, we've got Jake the Snake Roberts, we got Lita, we got Paul Bearer, who's being put in posthumously, obviously. Carlos Colon, Mr. T is going in as a celebrity,
God.
and Razor, yeah, exactly, and Razor Ramon.
Might I add, Carlos Colon didn't even get a mention. Like he didn't even get his own video segment on.
Oh yeah,
program.
he did.
he did.
Oh, did
yeah.
he?
Yeah,
He
he
did.
did. yeah.
Maybe I just missed that part.
Bathroom break.
It might have been on SmackDown.
Because
It
they
is,
have
yeah.
done that in previous years where they announced someone in the Hall of Fame, but they never got a video
Yeah.
package on TV.
No. Carlos Colon did happily.
Yeah.
So, 2014 class, the best Hall of Fame speeches of all time. Do we have the potential here for like the best speeches ever? Razor Ramon, even sober Razor Ramon, probably
I
going to
want
be
to
able
see
to
the
cut a good.
toothpick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. T is going to be. No one's going to know what the fuck's going on. Carlos Colon's got a real thick accent. We don't know who's going to be inducting Paul Bearer. You have to imagine it'd have to be Undertaker.
It would have to be.
Like
Hopefully.
it would almost have to be Undertaker. Lita's a decent talker.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Jake Roberts always cut intense
Yeah.
as hell promos, and then you've got Captain Grimlap system.
Yeah.
Like I mean, his first of all, does Warrior wear the face paint?
Probably.
Do
Probably,
you think
yeah.
he goes
Yeah.
up with the face paint?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Does
Would
he
have
does
to
he
rock
run
it.
to the stage?
Gasses out and can't say his speech.
Gets up to the
They'll
microphone.
set up ropes just so we can shake them.
Grimlap system.
I think his speech will be like his promos, where he makes absolutely no sense.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will bring down the plane,
It's a different
Hulk
universe.
Hogan.
Tear down the cockpit door. Hogan.
Lord.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd like to add that I think that this may be the best Hall of Fame lineup they've ever
It's
had.
Yeah, it's
quite
pretty good.
possible. Like
It's pretty
going to
good.
be entertaining as hell. Like I've never streamed the Hall of Fame induction ceremony before. I'm streaming that shit this year because that's going to be worth, that would be worth seeing live.
Did you hear who was going to be inducting Lita? Like she mentioned it on a podcast, but I can't find it anywhere.
I don't think I've heard who's inducting anybody. I think we
No.
just
Is
got
it going to be Trish? That's what I was thinking it was going to be.
It wouldn't
She
shock
had a baby.
me.
She just had a baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she'd be all
Yeah.
out of commission.
But who else would it be? Yeah, they're not gonna.
Is Matt Hardy going to come?
They ain't
induct
gonna
him?
get Matt Hardy.
man.
Edge.
Are we talking
Edge.
version 1?
Edge might.
He just had a baby with Beth Phoenix.
Yes, he did.
That's fucked in so many ways. But kind of
Amazon.
incredible. Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Well,
yeah.
whatever
She's
it
not
takes.
bulky anymore. I've seen pictures
No,
recently.
she
She like China. She looks like a normal. Well, I won't compare it to China. I guess nobody can compare that.
no, it's
Yeah.
she's something.
Anyway,
So
another night in.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be Edge. It could be like neither Matt or Jeff work for TNA or Ring of Honor. Like they're working Omega in North Carolina. So I mean, technically an indie promotion. So
Jeff's in TNA right now.
is Jeff in TNA right now? Oh my God, that's right. He's doing fucking Will-O-Wisp. Jesus.
What? He changed his name?
Yeah, he basically looks like emo Sting.
Emo Sting. I like this.
Oh man.
Emo Sting. Yeah, okay. This is where I get out of my element because I do not waste any of my time watching TNA.
No, and you know what?
I'm sorry, anybody who's a fan.
Yeah.
I can't
Not a
do
fan.
it. I can't keep my lunch down when I
I'm
watch
not a
that
fan,
shit.
but actually, in the last month, I've actually been okay with their product.
Oh yeah.
It's not like amazing, stuff, but it's watchable.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they did that right before they went off the air for the last time, right? You
Yeah.
know, it's important to go out with a bang, right?
It's true.
Hang on,
Yes.
wait, everybody, we're
when
bankrupt.
are they supposed to be done with Spike?
They're done like this June sometime,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's
Is
like,
the
I
end?
think it's like the end of June or something like that.
And then like the
contract
next
is up.
week, Jeff Jarrett and Toby Keith are on Spike TV with their wrestling promotion.
So that's
Really?
that's a
That's,
done thing.
that's
then?
a go
They
as far as
actually
I
won
know. Yeah.
As far as I know,
It's-
that's a
wow.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna call it, but yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see like the Bubba Ray and all these other and Devon, whatever the hell
Right.
they call themselves these days.
I wouldn't mind seeing Bubba Ray back in WWE. I think they could work with him.
Calfzilla.
Yeah.
Kind of type deal.
I don't know that they would ever let Bubba Ray have a singles run. Like
No.
they
I don't think
gave
he
him
has what
they
it
gave
takes.
him a very brief singles run in WWE for a little while. It was exactly the whole tornado and grab the crotch and then
I like
then Dusty-
Bully Ray the heel. I actually really enjoyed his work.
oh yeah, I enjoy him. But I
Bring
don't
back
know
Spike
that.
Dudley.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Spike.
bring back
He's
the
probably
friggin'
dead.
Dudleys.
He got
Brother Runt.
Mike Awesome power bombed him out through a table when he was in when he was in WWE for 3 days.
Dude's a Walmart greeter with Jamie Noble by this point. Like it's just like
Jamie Noble works for WWE.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Jamie Noble's an agent. All right, so let's get into WrestleManias here. Very very quickly, favorite WrestleMania? You think about it?
I'll pass first.
You'll pass on that.
That's a tough one because there's a lot of good ones. I like both of them with basing it off Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And their matches to be just unreal.
Yeah, true enough.
It's like what,
But
25,
to say I have a
26?
favorite, I can't really say that because I'd watch each and every one of them the
Yeah.
same amount of time. Except 20. Hated the shit out of 20.
Favorite,
I like it.
What about a
Like the
favorite
main event,
match? Favorite match out of any WrestleMania?
Probably when Undertaker and Shawn Michaels first had their first match.
Yeah.
It was magic, and it was just, edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Tombstone kick out, Sweet Chin Music kick out. They had it planned, and they did amazing.
Yeah.
I got to be a classic guy and go back to Steamboat and Macho Man.
Amazing match.
Yeah,
amazing.
Intercontinental.
6, 7?
3.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it that far
3.
back? Oh, wow. Okay.
It was like the initial, not the initial main event, but like the co-main event kind of the inner, It was just wicked. It was a really technical.
That was back
match,
when
right?
it was, there
That was back when wrestling
drama.
was wrestling. Was
Wrestling, absolutely.
They told a story with their moves, not with their lips.
Back in my day.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Cody, what about you?
Unquestionably, my favorite WrestleMania of all
Scooby-Doo.
time is WrestleMania 19.
Okay. Which
Every main event delivered.
right.
Brock Lesnar fought Kurt Angle.
Is that the one where he almost killed himself with the shooting star press?
Hulk
Yeah,
Hogan versus Mr. McMahon.
Right.
Triple H versus Booker T.
Wasn't that the card with HBK Jericho?
Yeah.
This is the one in Seattle.
Which is one of my favorite
Yeah.
Jericho WrestleMania matches ever. Yeah, Triple H beat Booker T. Ric
Right.
Flair helped him win.
Okay, yeah.
And I know the opening match was Rey Mysterio versus Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight title, which was okay.
Okay.
Cruiserweight title.
I like
Let's
Cruiserweight
leave it-
wrestling,
let's
and I think
leave
it
it
needs to come
buried.
back.
Moving on.
Moving on. Nick, what about you, sir? Either favorite WrestleMania match?
Favorite WrestleMania match that I can remember because
Right.
my mind is horrible.
Right. Fried from all the drugs.
I wasn't denying it.
Exactly.
No. Trips and Taker.
Which
What?
one?
28 or 27.
Because they've wrestled 3 times.
Yes.
Special referee Shawn Michaels.
Okay,
Yes.
so Hell in a Cell, end of an
Yeah.
era would have been 28.
It was 17, the other one, wasn't it?
That was 18.
It-
No, 18.
X7, X7.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was X7 because they ended up out in the crowd and they ended up out on one of them big pods and stuff. That was a wicked match too.
Yeah, it was
a
for
wicked
sure.
match.
No, that was
Just
an excellent match.
Almost right at the end, Shawn Michaels was almost beside himself,
Oh, yeah.
just like
It was
pleading
an
to stop
excellent,
the match.
excellent
Those were 2 guys that were not only storytelling with their match, they were storytelling within their match. Like
Yeah.
they were literally just talking to each other. Like Sean, end it or I will, and Taker being like, "Don't ring the bell," and like they're literally fucking storytelling in the middle of the match, and it's beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. As far as actual WrestleMania matches, really underrated, I thought, was Bret Hart and Yokozuna at WrestleMania 10.
Yes.
And Yoko, I mean, like, there's only so much that you can do with Yoko. I mean, he's a 600-pound man.
He has to let you put the sharpshooter
He
on
pretty
him.
much does. But like, and everything that Bret Hart was in at the time felt big. So like,
Okay, it's number 2 that's gone.
yeah. So Jesus. For those that are wondering what we're laughing at, Justin broke his chair. But it happens. I broke a chair earlier, but I literally ripped the thing apart.
We got Mick Foley right here in our room breaking chairs.
Exactly. You hear the car screeching going by. But yeah, so Bret Hart and Yoko WrestleMania 10. Was that the same WrestleMania that Razor and Shawn
WrestleMania
ladder
10
match
in Madison Square Garden.
unified the they both had the Intercontinental title at the time, and there was only going to be one. So that was a fantastic match too. WrestleMania 10 was a great show because that had Bret and Owen on it too. Yeah. So there's.
And I think that was the opening match of the pay-per-view.
I think it was, which is
that was the opening
pretty
match.
fucking phenomenal, eh? And then there's so many Undertaker matches that you can go back to and talk about, like, oh, what a great match. Undertaker Edge was a great match. Undertaker Batista was a great match. 2 of the 3 matches with Triple H were great. Both of the matches with Shawn Michaels were great, and Taker CM Punk from last year was a great match. And it's like there's so many great individual matches. I think probably my favorite one of all time, I gotta go back to the Iron Man match. Brett and Shawn the title. That goes like an hour and 2 minutes because they had to go into overtime because none of them had a fall yet. And so, I mean, you always got to keep sort of going back to it. Even knowing how much of a cockbag Shawn Michaels was at the time, like that match itself was just phenomenal.
I got to add something in because I don't know how we forgot about this. WrestleMania 19, Rock versus Stone Cold.
Well, that's true. Was that?
Yeah.
That was Rock Stone Cold 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'd also like to add my favorite WrestleMania match. If I just said the thing off the top of my head, Stone Cold versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
That match was like they cranked up the intensity level on that match.
Submission match with
Ken Shamrock as the special referee. I remember when Stone Cold, when they called the match off, Bret Hart kept attacking him, and Ken Shamrock pulled him off and like threw Bret Hart across the ring.
Yeah. Because
that's my favorite match.
Yeah, because that was a time when like Ken Shamrock was, big shit in the UFC, when the UFC was virtually nothing, right? Like the UFC had just started.
Ken Shamrock, in my opinion, should have been WWE champion at one point.
He was one of those guys where he should have held a belt. Because I think he held the European title at one point. It was Intercontinental. Like he should. He could have been put in a position where he could have held a world title at one point.
He didn't win the King of the Ring, did he?
No, he made the semifinals one year, I think, or maybe even made it to the finals. But he was in a King of the Ring. I know that much, but no, I don't think he ever won it. All right, folks, let's get 35 minutes into the. What? Oh,
Honest Rod. He never answered.
Oh, that's right.
I said match.
Hey.
I said my favorite.
Oh,
that's WrestleMania 3.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Put me on the hot seat again.
We're just going around the table.
They're all anybody that can get on the grandest stage like that and do a match to the best of their ability and with that kind of intensity, they all deserve to be called, the best match, with the exception of Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg.
Of course. Yes, fair enough.
Yeah.
The match that should have been so much more than it was and ended up being a big steaming pile of nothing.
Yeah. Or anything with the Brooklyn Brawler, too.
Oh, that's fair.
Never on the WrestleMania.
Jesus. Good old Steve Lombardi, who's literally played like 40 characters in his wrestling career. Because if you look at, I found a website that shows like the identity of all of masked men in wrestling, and like you go down the list and it's like Steve Lombardi, 2 things later, Steve Lombardi, 3 things later, Steve Lombardi.
My favorite character of his, without a doubt, Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, aka MVP.
Oh my God, Knuckleball Schwartz. Good Lord. We have a question on the Ustream chat. Who all do you think will win next Sunday at the pay-per-view and why? So that's a perfect lead-in. Let's get into the actual matches themselves. Finally, after 35 minutes of talking about Scooby Doo and the Hall of Fame, we're ready to talk about the actual show itself. See, I told you all this was going to be an extravaganza.
WrestleMania
30, exactly.